So you want a quick, easy, cost-effective way to take your shop from looking like this to looking like this. We've all been there. You have a shop, you don't want to waste space, right? I'm in the same boat. I have this workbench back here in the corner behind me that you can probably see perfectly fine on this camera, and I have a bunch of wasted space above me. I thought that extending this shelf right here farther up was going to solve my problem as far as the storage space I needed for shelving, but it didn't. And like I said before, there's a lot of dead space above that workbench. With all this wasted space here above my workbenches, I can easily turn that into shelving because most of the stuff that's on this shelving back here behind me, especially what's on those top 3 or 4 shelves, is stuff that I don't use on a regular basis. Those bottom 2 or 3 shelves, those are stuff that I use often. So I want that to be still accessible, and obviously above this workbench probably won't be all that accessible because it's going to be roughly about 6 feet to the bottom shelf. So it's not necessarily easy to get to. First and foremost, this design is not mine. I actually got it from a friend when I was at his shop, and I ran with it. He's like, "Oh yeah, man, you should do it. You should try it. It works well." I'm going to. Now, you can't tell on this video, but from down here at the floor all the way to the top of my double top plate is 12 foot. The 12-foot walls that I have make this very easy for me to figure out what I need. Now, I want 4 shelves. So each of those 4 shelves are roughly about 18 inches apart because all of these shelves are about 18 inches apart. That 18 inches is going to give me 4 shelves coming from on top of my double top plate 6 feet down. And I did it like that because 6 foot still gives me plenty of space on top of my workbench here. I don't have to worry about anything being in the way. One other key note is that these walls are all 2x6. So it's 2x6 studs, obviously 2x6 double top plate, and my 2x6 bottom plate. That's all important information, and you're going to see why here shortly. This right here is our cut list. I added everything up just to be sure that I had enough linear foot of the tubing. Now the tubing that we are using is actually this stuff right here. It is 1.5 inch square tubing, and it's a 14 gauge metal. That is more than enough for the stuff that we're going to put on our shelves because I'm not putting a bunch of heavy crap up there. Anything that's real heavy actually will go on the shelves below the workbench. Most of the stuff is just things that I need but don't use that often, and I need somewhere to kind of put them so they're out of the way. All right, safety first, kids. Let's get this started. Just like that, all of our parts are cut. They just need to be welded together tomorrow. It's dinner time now, so I'm not going to come back out after dinner most likely. Now I did take a tape measure and stretched it across all these 6-footers, and the reason for that is because I want to make sure all of my shelves are equal. I don't want any of them being all cattywampus and moving up and down on me. So I've got some pencil marks on here, and the speed square was used to just simply make sure that they were perfectly straight across and that we're not going to have some crazy odd angles on any of these shelves. The pieces that you see up here at the top, those are the pieces that are going to get welded on here, and that's what's going to actually hold most of the weight. Some other funny pencil drawings that you're going to see are these. This is for my corner, and it'll make far more sense when I actually cut it and show you what we're doing with it. And last but not least, always have extra material, but probably not quite this much. Now, I will definitely use it for something else. I may even make some more shelves at a later point, or even make some outside in one of our lean-tos to hold up some wood. If you can't tell, it's the next day, and obviously the clothing is a pretty good giveaway. Shameless plug, there's a link down below in the description. You get any Freedom Farms merch you want. We've got sweatshirts, hoodies, we've got t-shirts, a bunch of different stuff on there, hats. But the best part is that just like the stuff that we're making here in our shop, it's all made right here in the United States. So just like you see that I have this laid out here on this table, that's how it's gonna hang on the wall. Now this is my shorter ones that are gonna go across my workbench and across my toolbox. There is one more piece that goes right here that faces the opposite way. You'll see that soon. So this right here supports majority of the vertical load. And all it is just a tab that's coming out to rest on the top of the double top plate of your wall. As you go down, so in my case, I'm gonna drill a hole here, here, basically between every shelf. There's going to be a screw that goes into the stud, and it does two things. One, it's gonna be something else to support some of the vertical load. The other thing is it makes it to where this can't, so like when it's hanging on the wall, it won't roll back and forth like you're gonna see here in a second on this demo. So just like we talked about, that tab is gonna go on top of the double top plate. I'd show you on another wall where this is actually gonna go, but I don't have a way to get up to that wall. All right, so it's on there, and hopefully from where you're at, you can see I can pull all of my weight up on here, right? I can even bounce, and it doesn't do anything. Now I weigh 156-ish pounds. So yeah, I get it. I'm not the heaviest. But when you think about it this way, a 10-foot shelf in this case, right, capable of supporting 150 pounds on that shelf, so on that lower shelf alone, right, it's 3 studs, so it's 450 pounds capacity. I'm not putting anything that weighs anywhere remotely close to that on a shelf. Now, if I did want to put something that weighed more on my shelves, I could simply take another piece of square tubing, the same size, cut it at a 45-degree angle, and I can go from here to here, right, and to support it more, or from here to here, depending on how much weight you're wanting to support. That would add capacity to your shelves. So remember that this is supporting the majority of your weight, and if something, let's say your weld is weak, or it's just simply too much for this weld to hold, then that's going to probably cause some problems, even with screws in here between each shelf to add support. So we did get all these welded up, as you saw us start on the time lapse. That's all done. We drilled holes in them as well. All these holes that you see along here, those are just simply for when we attach it to the stud. So as it's hanging down, we'll put a screw through it, and that'll keep it on that stud, and it'll also give it a little bit more vertical load-bearing capacity. Ta-da. That'll work. As promised, you've seen it was very simple to hang it. You probably don't have to put as many screws in as we did. I'd just rather have it surely fixed, so I don't have to worry about anything happening. I don't really think anything would happen. I mean, I stood on the bottom one and it didn't even flex. I even bounced up and down. I don't know how well you could see it on camera, but nothing flexed or moved. So I'm pretty sure we're going to be good to go. everything's done as far as putting everything up and even putting everything on the shelf. It did take me a total of 3 days. Now, each of those days, the first day I worked about 6 hours out here. The second day I only worked about 3, and the third day I worked about 4 hours as well. And that's including taking everything off my old shelves, moving my old shelf out of the way, welding all the square tubing together to make all my brackets to hang all my shelves up essentially. Not a terrible task, and you could probably knock it out in a weekend. I just had a lot of things that were going on between those times, and it made it to where I couldn't just do it all in one day or even 2. All these shelves are connected, so this one right here has screws going through it, so through the board into the square tubing. Now, I didn't use self-tapping screws. I actually just pre-drilled the holes. Now, that old shelf was really useful and obviously served its purpose, but we'd kind of outgrown it. You've seen that it was just stuffed full of junk. And the reality is that we couldn't really expand on it anymore. We already stacked it as high as we really could, and we didn't really want to make it any wider because it was taking up a lot of floor space. So this was a really simple and kind of ingenious solution to it. We went from having 8 including the floor, so 8 shelves that were 2 feet deep and 8.25 feet wide, which gave us a grand total of 132 square feet of shelving. And as you can see behind me, that number has changed dramatically. The shelves behind me are each 40 feet long, and each one of those being 40 feet long, 2 feet deep, so there's 80 square feet per shelf times 4. Plus, we have a 10-foot shelf down here that I still have to get the lumber for. I didn't grab enough. And I have another 5-foot shelf below that. Gives us a grand total of 350 square feet of shelving. So more than double from the 132 that we were at before. And obviously I'm very happy with it. I've saved a lot of space. I have all this space over here open now. It was a great investment and a real nice upgrade for our shop. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit that like button, and don't forget to check out the Freedom Farms merchandise if you're interested in Made in the USA apparel. Have a blessed week. We'll see you next time.